or sometimes maybe they see something like they see monster or they see ghost, but actually that's not the reality. I mean, there's no such ghost, there's no monster. Okay. So,
Yes.
but in terms of delusive thinking, it is not actually extreme hallucination. Maybe it's just a lower level hallucination, but still hallucination. In other words, it is not confirmed. The thing that we sense is not confirmed. All right. So
Yes.
another statement or word that can describe that we can associate with delusive thinking is that this is an everyday distortions of reality. What do we mean by distortion? It's like it is trying to destroy the reality, or it's like it is not delusive thinking is not giving us what is the real situation. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. So it is trying to give us the other side of the reality, or it is not giving us the reality. So it's like we are having a perception or impression of the environment, but it is not the real situation. It's not the real situation. It's not the natural thing that manifests in our environment. So it is not a reality. So that's why
Yeah.
it says everyday distortion of reality. In other words, it is not really giving us the reality or the situation in our life.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Mm.
So, for example, what are these everyday distortion? For example, you see the words on the right side, the red, the red font.
Yes.
All right. So we have here speculation, assumption, expectation, judgment, and rumor. So what can you say about these words? When we say speculation, it's like we're just thinking or we are speculating. We are like guessing. You know what is guessing? Speculate.
Yes.
We're
Guess.
just yes. It's very similar with guess.
Yeah.
All right.
Because
So
we are confused about something.
yes.
We confusion.
Come again.
Because we have confusion. We are confused about something.
All right. Okay. So another word is assumption. It's also similar with guess, right?
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
actually all of these are very similar. They are telling or pointing to one meaning, which is guess or speculation, assumption, expectation. Assumption is very similar with expectation. We are assuming. In other words,
Yes.
we are concluding. Hmm?
Yeah.
Go
Yes.
ahead.
Yeah.
Yes. We are concluding. And then expectation. Expectation is not yet the reality. This is what we want to experience. This is what we want to happen. Expectation.
Yeah.
Okay? But that is not the reality. This is just what we want. This because we are expecting this. Okay.
Yeah.
What about judgment? Judgment is also similar. It's like we are giving our own we're giving our own judgment or analysis. We are giving our analysis, but our analysis is baseless.
Yes.
Baseless. No,
Absolutely.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you. So there is no basis. For instance, when you see, or when you are in a situation wherein when you saw other people talking, talking something, and then it is not very clear to you what they are talking about, but then you judge them that they are talking to you. Or maybe there is an idea in your mind that you are judging them about their behavior, or maybe in your mind you will say that.
Yes. Judgment is terrible, also terrible.
Excuse me for a while.
Never mind. Okay. Okay.
Hello. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so I'm back.
Mm.
I'm so sorry. All
Yeah.
right, so yeah, so the way we describe the lucid thinking is about, it is not an extreme hallucination. It is just maybe a lower level of hallucination. But the other way to describe the lucid thinking is that this is about everyday distortions of reality. So it's like see we see things in the environment which is not the reality, or we have a different impression about what is going on, maybe even within ourselves, because it is just an speculation, assumption, no evidences. It's just purely assumption, or it is our expectation, because that's the thing that we want to happen, so we are expecting that. And it is our judgment without basis. And maybe it's also about rumor. Do you know what is rumor?
Yes.
Gossip. Gossip, right? All right,
Yes.
thank you. Okay, so what about the source of delusive thinking? So these are the additional information that I got. This is not part of the material that Enid gave to me. So these are the sources of the lucid thinking. In other words, where the delusive thinking originated. The first one is the three poisons and their role in Buddhism. So the concept of greed, hatred, and delusion. So these are the three poisons that we studied, right? So you still remember?
Yeah.
Oh, good. All right. So the three, these are greed, hatred, and delusion as the root causes of suffering. This is central to Buddhist teaching, especially highlighted in the Dhammapada and the Noble Eightfold Path. So these three are the root causes of suffering. In other words, if we overcome, if we'll be able to overcome these three, then definitely it will be easy for us to attain nirvana. Okay, and then
Yeah. Yes.
another one is ignorance or avidya and delusion. It says that in the Pali Canon, Tipitaka, ignorance or avidya is defined as the fundamental delusion that keeps beings trapped in samsara. It described as a distorted perception of reality. So this one, it's like the person is really into hallucination, experiencing hallucination because the person perception of the reality is distorted. So the person is not actually in reality. Well, um, a very good example of this is when the person is suffering from psychological disorder, like for instance, schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is the worst psychological disorder. But of course, when we talked about this from the point of view of Buddhism, this is not about the psychological disorder. It is about the person with distorted perception.
Yes.
You get me? All right. So how come that the person is have a distorted perception? Because maybe this is the way the person grew up, or how to say that this is the background of the person.
Yes. Yes.
Maybe it is in the genes of the family, or the upbringing, I mean the upbringing of the parents. That's why the upbringing of the parents is very very important for the values of the children. But then of course, as we grow older, we can decide to change the values even if our parents taught us the not so good values. We can decide on our own once we grew up or became mature, or if we decided to go to school and study so that we will improve ourselves. Number three is Buddhist view on the delusive thinking. The idea that delusive thinking hinders spiritual progress is a common theme in Mahayana and Theravada teaching. For example, in the Vimalakirti Nirdesa Sutra, oh, it's so difficult to pronounce. The importance of wisdom and correct perception is emphasized. So we can really associate this wisdom to Mahayana and Theravada teaching, because these two kinds of Buddhism, or yeah, two types of Buddhism, shall we say type, they're more focused on the correct perception. Correct perception is very important.
Yes.
So that we will not hallucinate. We will not suffer from hallucination. And then the last one is the from the commentaries and modern summaries. Modern Buddhist scholars and teachers such as Thich Nhat Hanh or Dalai Lama often synthesize these teachings, describing delusive thinking as a barrier to enlightenment caused by ignorance and attachment to false perception. It's just like when we are very much attached with the material things in this world, that is considered as false perception. Do you agree?
Yeah,
When
yes.
we are,
Yeah, yes.
yes, when we are attached to material things in this environment, it's it's a false perception. Why we are attached? Because we are happy, because it gives, maybe it gives us comfortable feelings, it makes us excited, it makes us feel satisfied. So that's why we are having a false perception, because we have to remember that these are all impermanent.
Yes, yes. Because everything is impermanent. So if we have have attachment strongly, suffering will bring suffering. We will bring about sufferings.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Very good. So, yeah, this is the false perception, but not many people are aware of this false perception, because if we will talk to some people who are not improving, especially the spiritual aspect of life, they are only they remain on the idea that the measurement of success, the measurement of reality is that the possession of material things in this world.
Yes.
Yes,
Actually, the attachment actually is a kind of greed.
definitely. Perfect. You are right. It's a kind of greed.
Yeah, thank
Aside
you.
from, aside from, yeah, the very good description of attachment is greed, because we want this. We always want everything. We want to own these things that give us happiness. So that's why we we forgot that we are becoming greedy,
Yeah,
becoming insensitive.
yes. And and actually, it's based on the false view.
Right, yes, that's right. False view is also false perception. Okay. All right, so let's move on.
Okay.
Okay. So there are, I don't know how to remove this the photo. Okay. All right. So the mind, from the material that was shared with me, the mind was described as a computer. It's like a computer. So of course we know that the computer had three components. It's like three components of the mind. Talking about the computer, of course, we know that there is a hard drive, there is a software program, and then there is a CPU. Now, the hard drive, which is the composed of the eight consciousness, and then the software programs, these are the reactive emotional patterns, and then the CPU, this is described as thinking mind or ignorance. Let's look at them one by one. So the hard drive, which is composed of the eight consciousness, is like a storehouse of all our experiences and memories. Storehouse, in other words, the location where these experiences and memories are stored. They're put there inside. It's like It's like a container. Storehouse is like a container of our experiences and memories. So every sight, sound, feeling, and thought are all stored. Now, in the division of the brain, in the brain we have the long-term memory and the short-term memory. Okay? So
Yeah.
both of this storehouse or location of the memories, we have also memories of sight, sound, feeling, and thoughts. And all of these memories and experiences are stored in the hard drive or the eighth consciousness. It is also described as personal data cloud for the entire life. When we say entire life, for as long as we live. So information, memories, experiences will stay there in the storehouse for the rest of our life. Another way to describe is it's like a cosmic hard drive. What is cosmic? Cosmic is like in the universe.
Yes.
So it's like infinite, no ending.
Yes.
Yeah. So when we talked about cosmic hard drive or the karmic information embedded in our DNA.
Yes.
Yeah. So this one, maybe I will need your help to understand about the karmic information embedded in our DNA. I'm not familiar about this. Anybody who is familiar about this karmic information, which is in
Mm,
the DNA?
yes, because it's the cause and effect. Because my English is not bad, and I can tell he can explain it to you in detail.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
sorry.
okay. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it's my fault because I don't understand Chinese. All right. Anyway, yeah, we'll just focus on the hard drive English. I will try to look more information about this because personally, because my background is not really Buddhism, but I am very much willing to learn more about Buddhism. I haven't studied this, the karmic information which are embedded in our DNA. Because when we talked about DNA, this is purely science.
Yes, and
Yes.
DNA is a modern words. We
Mm-hmm.
can we
Mm-hmm.
can uh, realize the karmic power.
Yes. DNA is the all the traits and all the traits that we inherit from our relatives, from our parents. DNA has something to do with hereditary traits or heredity, right? Heredity, DNA, all the traits. Let's say if you are responsible, maybe it's in your DNA because you you inherit these traits from your parents. Anyway, let's move on. We'll just focus on the Mahayana Buddhism divides the mind into eight separate consciousness. All right, so these words are very difficult to pronounce. Chongyam Trungpa Rinpoche said the point of meditation is to understand how the eight consciousness work because together they create our samsaric reality. So it talks about the meditation, the effect of meditation to the consciousness. So 1 to 6, these are the sense consciousness. The first five are eye, ear, nose, tongue, and body consciousness. Now in theology, I learned that these are called powers, the five senses, because these are very, very important. in the function of consciousness. If
Yes.
these are distorted, I mean, if these are not functioning well, then definitely we will have a distorted consciousness.
Yes.
If
Yes.
yeah, yes. But for people who are born blind, who are born deaf, they still have a very good, not distorted consciousness or not distorted reality because they are more sensitive than normal people with normal five senses function.
Yes.
Do you understand that? I mean,
Yes.
when people are, it's like they have also another power to compensate
Yes.
because,
Spiritual power,
yes,
spiritual
they are,
strength.
yes, they are more sensitive than us.
Yes.
Ac-
Yes.
Actually, I learned I had a friend who told me that there was one student in one of the best school here. The student born blind and deaf, but the student is the most smart, is the most. It's like the student became genius.
Yes. I think so. Yes.
I
I
think
believe.
there are also there. I think there are also situations like this in China, right? hmm Because they are they receive other gifts to compensate the disability. All right, so these five, they work with our sense organs and objects of perception to create our experience of the phenomenal world. The sixth sense, consciousness called the mind, assembles the input from other sense consciousness into coherent whole. In other words, the mind, which is the sixth consciousness, will try to assemble the experiences or the information gathered by these five senses. Right. And
Yes.
then the seven is the klesha or diluted consciousness. Now, the seventh consciousness is the concepts, opinions, and inner discursiveness. These are more deeper um, perception, like deeper perception, sometimes called the nuisance consciousness. It is a source of suffering and place where we spend far too much of our mental time. So there are concepts that we learned from school, there are concepts that we learned from our experience, from other people as well, and everybody have their own opinions based on based on our personal experiences and what we learned from the past. And then the alaya vijnana or base consciousness. The alaya is the basis and instigator of all our mental activity. It is where we plant our karmic seeds. Oh gosh, this is so difficult. Where we plant our karmic seeds. So it is also called the storehouse consciousness. As the ground of our experience of dualistic reality, alaya is marked by basic ignorance, which can be transformed into wisdom through advanced meditation and technique. So, if you will notice, meditation is really helpful because it is helping us to discover the inner consciousness because the inner
Yes.
consciousness will really guide us to go to the reality, to overcome the delusive thinking.
Yeah.
All right, so the software programs, which is the reactive emotional patterns, this is responsible. It is distorting our perception and color how we see the world. It color how we see the world. It's like when we learn when we learn of something, And that something is just simple, but then the way we describe it, we put some color. You understand when I say put some color? It's like we added something. But the
Yeah,
fact it
yeah,
is just very
yes,
simple. It is just very
yes,
simple, but we added. Sometimes we are forced to do that because we want others to believe on what we're saying.
yes, yes,
But the problem is we are also giving false reality.
yes,
We are giving false description.
yes,
Right. So the software programs, this is the reactive emotional patterns. Now, the reactive emotional pattern is the greed, the hatred, the arrogance, and doubt. So as we said, if we are, if we want more happiness and we want to enjoy life, we want more material things in this world. We are becoming insensitive because we are greed. And we don't know that reality practicing, that we are practicing greediness, hatred, arrogance, and doubt. And then um, this reactive emotional patterns triggers that leads to actions. It's like taking over and run the show.
yeah,
So nothing in the mind, no compassion, no kindness, because all of this one, two, three, four, the greed, hatred, arrogance, and doubt, they take over and run the show. In other words, um, they are the one that manipulate the other function of the brain, including the different senses.
yeah,
Are we good? Okay. Now, what about the CPU or the thinking mind or ignorance? This is the part of the mind that retrieves data from the hardware. It makes judgments, stories to justify our thoughts and actions. So um because it is accompanied by ignorance, we really don't know, so we are just using our own judgment. We are using our own judgment, but our judgment do not have any basis. So what happened? So definitely it will just go to a delusive thinking,
yes, yes,
especially if it is accompanied by emotional programs. And this make us believe that we can manage, but the truth is we cannot. So there are things sometimes that we want to do, but because we have a very few information or maybe lack of information, but we believe that we know that. But the truth is we don't know. Or maybe
yeah,
you are in a situation wherein because people are depending on you. So even if you really don't know about it. Let's say, for instance, if you are a pilot, uh, I don't know if you heard about the news about the airplane crash from India. Have you heard that?
I have
All
not.
passengers died. Only one person survived.
Oh, oh,
You did not learn that from the news. Maybe it happens 3 weeks ago, or maybe the other month. An airplane bound to Europe, from India, it crashed, and then there is only one person survived. So in that case, what happened? Let's say during the trouble, there is one passenger who will try to help the pilot, but actually that passenger is not aware on of on how to become a pilot, but he decided to, maybe because he just wanted to help, but then he really don't know how to do it. how to function as a pilot. So what happened? It also crashed the airplane. So it's like sometimes there are situation or condition that makes us believe that we can manage, but the truth is we cannot. It's a wrong estimation. That's why sometimes we say, don't be deceived, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. All right. So, what is the what is the role of the origins in childhood in this delusive thinking that we are talking about? So, if we talked about childhood, so we will going to check or we will going to look on the upbringing because the brain of the child is like pure. It's like pure and very objective. It's like the children do not have an idea of what is good and bad unless the parents or older people will tell them, will teach them on what is good and what is bad, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. So let's look at the origins in childhood. Now, delusive thinking begins in childhood because, of course, the children do not have an idea of what is good and what is bad if they are not taught of what is really good and what is bad. So the child is innocent, immature, vulnerable, and many of their many of the things that they are telling us are far from reality. That's why if you talk to the children and then you ask them to tell a story, they can tell a story which is not real.
Yeah.
So childhood characteristics shaped by our mental projections. So what happened to the delusive thinking? The delusive thinking of these children will be corrected if they will go to school, if they will study, if their parents will teach them, and then plus of course as they age they become mature. But we cannot always say that as we age, all of us we are also become matured because there are older people who are not yet matured.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, what are the consequences of unchecked delusion? Unchecked delusion, in other words, if we will not check our delusion, in a, if we will not if we will not try to discover that what we see is not the reality, or if we are not exerting effort on finding out what is the reality or what is the truth and what is false, then definitely it will remain delusion. Unchecked
Yes.
delusion, unchecked delusion will become source of confusion. In other words, we will get confused. And when we are confused, it's like there are excuse me, there are distorted images.
Yes.
I'm very sorry. The dog is
No.
very noisy.
It's okay. We have no sounds. Yes.
Oh, thank you so
We have.
much. Thank you. So
Okay.
as we have said, unchecked delusion is like confusion, or it will give us confusion. I'm sure you experienced this one time that when your computer is not functioning, what happened? It's like there are distorted images that you
Yes.
see in the screen. So you are confused, you cannot read the words, you cannot see the pictures. So it will really lead us to confusion. And when we are confused, we will definitely suffer. In other words, we will have mental suffering. What do we mean by mental suffering? We don't know what we see. We don't know what we hear. We don't know what we feel. We don't know what we think. Sometimes, I don't know if you have experienced that sometimes we say, um, I don't know what's happening to me. Have you experienced that?
Yes. Yes.
Do you want
So,
to say something about it?
sometimes I wonder myself because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes there are something I
Mm-hmm.
want I want
Mm-hmm.
mm, cannot finished.
You can do it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, maybe once in a while you can say some Chinese words. I'll just try my best to understand. Yeah, sometimes really, especially if our mind is occupied of so many things, we don't know,
Yeah.
we'll get confused. If there are so many things that we need to do, there are so many, let's say, we need to submit many papers, we need to finish many reports, and then we just sit down and we don't know what we're supposed to do. Sometimes it happens. Or sometimes there is a feeling, say there is a sad feeling, and then somebody asks you, why do you feel sad? And then you said, I don't know. I really don't know why I feel sad.
Yes.
Sometimes it happens, but that's only sometimes. For normal people who are not suffering from any psychological disorder, that's normal. I mean, it is normal to experience that confusion once in a while. But if we are not suffering from any psychological disorder, but we are not checking our delusion, then definitely that is delusive thinking. We are not looking for more information to confirm our opinion, to confirm our assumption, to confirm our judgment. Then definitely we're not in reality in that case. That's why, because the brain will only process the information that we will have. In other words, that we will feed. If the information in the brain are very limited, then definitely our judgment or our conclusion or our opinion will be affected. They will all be distorted. So that's why it is very important to check our delusion. Is this just a delusion or is this a reality? We have to check. And how can we check? Of course, with the help of the consciousness, with the help of the senses. Now there are three methods. There are three methods. Okay. Oh my God. It's already 9 p.m. There are
It's
three
okay.
methods for breaking this. The first is the Arthat method, Arhat method. How are we going to do that? So remove or erase the software programs of greed, hatred, arrogance, and doubt. Remove, erase. remove all of this. These four. Total mental purification. What is total mental purification? It's like clean the mind, clean the mind, clean the mind of greed, hatred, arrogance, and doubt. But it's not easy. We need a strong discipline. We need a strong discipline. We need to be more persistent. We need to have dedication in cleaning our mind, and we have to have more patience. Okay, so the key here is discipline. So the RTAT method is trying to remove or erase the greed, hatred, arrogance, and doubt to be able to break or to be free from delusive thinking. The next one is, oh, it's not moving. What happened? Hey, hey, hey. All right. The next one is diligent bodhisattva. This is transform the software program. This one is transform. If the first one is removing, this one is just transform. Transform the greed, hatred, arrogance, and doubt. Now, how are we going to do that? Greed can be transformed into non-attachment. Okay, so um, you try to remove greed. Remove attachment from all the material things that we have. Hatred into focus. Focus on the positive. Don't get angry. Focus on the positive. And then arrogance into humility. Be simple. And then doubt into a healthy sense of inquiry. If there is a doubt, if it is not clear to you, why don't you look for more information? You ask people, you read books. Okay, and then practice mindfulness to consciously choose different responses. So mindfulness is really very important because it will help us to become more focused on what we're doing. So diligent bodhisattva.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the other one is the lazy bodhisattva method. This one is surrender and reliance on a higher wisdom. Surrender and reliance on a higher wisdom. It's like we need to surrender. Okay, surrender and accept. This is very difficult. I I cannot remove my greediness, my hatred, my doubt. So we need help. We need help from maybe from the Buddha. So we need to surrender, acknowledging the harm caused by delusive thinking through repentance. Okay, since I cannot remove greedy, I need to do something to pay. It's like pay off. It's like some people they are giving donation to different institutions because they know they committed a sin. And one
Yes.
way to to say sorry is to sacrifice by giving donation. Let's say for for tomorrow I will not eat very delicious and expensive food because yesterday I heard somebody something like that. Repentance is not guilt ridden but honest recognition. Honest recognition because you realize you commit mistakes. You realize that you hurt someone. So you are just like accepting your mistake and you try to repay. So install a new operating system based on Buddha wisdom. So it's like Buddha. When Buddha says that when we realize that we commit mistake because we are not perfect. We cannot avoid mistakes. We can try to be perfect, but it is going there is not easy. So that's why we need Buddha wisdom. So how are we going to do this? How are we going to overcome this delusive thinking by way of the lazy bodhisattva method? how to do it. This is by meditation and by improving ourselves, by studying, and by ethical conduct. Again, this is by disciplining ourselves, concentration, wisdom, and compassion. Okay? All right.
Yeah.
All right. So I think this is the last slides. I got this from the website of the Venerable Dalai Lama. This is from the Training the Mind version 8 or verse 8. He said, I quote, "May all this remain undefiled by the stains of the eight mundane concerns, and may I, recognizing all the things as illusion, devoid of clinging, be released from bondage." It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Devoid of clinging. In other words, we're not supposed to practice greediness. Remove the four. Remove the four. All right,
Ye-
so I think that's it. What are the four? The greediness, hatred, arrogance, and doubt. It's like very similar with the three poison. Okay, so do you have question?
No questions. Thank you.
Very Thank you so much. I hope I shared something. If you have clarification, you can just message. I will stay for a while to look for your message.
Okay.
Okay, so good night, everyone.
Yeah. Good night. Thank you for your wonderful preaching. Your PPT is beautiful. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.